In the Quran it is written,
O believers! Eat from the good things we have provided for you. And give thanks to Allah if you truly worship Him alone. He has only forbidden you to eat carrion, blood, swine, and what is slaughtered in the name of any other than Allah. But if someone is compelled by necessity, neither driven by desire nor exceeding immediate need, they will not be sinful. Surely Allah is all-forgiving, most merciful.
Since the Neolithic period, the killing of wild boar has been accepted as a testament to the strength, courage, and success of a hunter. When we look at the Greek myths, we see that many famous heroes fought or killed the wild boar. For example, the fourth of Heracles' 12 tasks is to catch the Erymanthian boar. Theseus, the protagonist of Aeonia, kills the pig named Fear. In Greek mythology, the boar symbolizes darkness, winter, and death. Adon means Lord, that is, God. One of the names used for God in Hebrew is Adonai. According to the legend, the young and handsome Adonis goes on a hunting trip and is injured by the wild boar of Artemis, the goddess of the hunt. While Aphrodite sheds tears, the injured Adonis dies in her arms. In other words, Adonis, who is the symbol of spring, productivity, beauty, and vitality, is killed by a pig. The tears of Aphrodite and the blood of Adonis mix to transform into the anemone flower. These flowers bloom wherever Adonis's blood falls. When Aphrodite commanded that the tragic death of Adonis be celebrated annually by women in the middle of summer, the Audonia festival tradition emerged. They always kept this belief alive. During these festivals, Greek women plant these flowers in pots placed on the roofs of their homes, where they quickly grow under the warm sun's rays. These are the gardens of Adonis. However, these growing plants would soon wither and die. Then, the women tore their clothes and sang laments to mourn Adonis's death, and they beat themselves in public. In other words, it was a legend symbolizing the arrival of winter and the seasonal change. The evil force that killed spring was represented by a pig. A variant of Adonis's pig story was also prevalent among the Lydians, which was adapted from Attis. When the Lydians came to Phrygia, various additions were made to the myths surrounding Attis. According to the legend, Attis was the one who introduced the Lydians to the cult of Cybele. One day, out of jealousy for what he saw, Zeus sent a wild boar, which destroyed all of the Lydians' crops, and the boar killed some Lydians and Attis. As a result, the people of Pessinus abstained from eating pork and considered it forbidden. In the mythology of ancient Egypt, Osiris stands out as the figure who taught the Egyptian people pottery, agriculture, and the domestication of animals, while forbidding the consumption of human and monkey meat, thus bringing civilization. Moreover, the mythology surrounding Osiris dates back much further than that of Tammuz, Baal-Hadad, Attis, Adonis, and even the texts of the Bible. He is one of the gods who dies and is resurrected. According to Plutarch, he was killed by his brother Set, while according to Diodorus, he was killed by his evil brother, the giant serpent Typhon. This means there are many variants of the myths surrounding Osiris's death. According to the Book of the Dead from the New Kingdom period, similarly, Set himself takes the form of a black pig and attacks the eyes of Osiris's son Horus. Following this, the sun god Ra declares, the pig is an abomination to Horus, and bans it as a disgusting creature. In another version of the myth, Set removes and devours Horus's left eye, symbolizing the moon. Furthermore, in another account, Set transforms into a pig once again, and attacks Horus's eyes, plucking them out. It was believed that during their struggle, the pig would attack and devour Horus's eye after every full moon. Additionally, in a text from the late New Kingdom period, it is mentioned that Set shattered and buried both of Horus's eyes. Indeed, the belief in a pig that kills gods symbolizing light, joy, spring, life, or civilization, is quite widespread. This belief has been associated with Set, the equivalent of a devil or evil force, in ancient Egypt. The Assyrians' view of pigs was similar to that of the Egyptians. Pigs were unacceptable in their temples and were considered abomination to their gods. Pigs, especially piglet blood, were used in healing rituals or for the purpose of exorcising demons. The Akkadians did consume pigs, but similar to dogs, pigs were considered unclean animals and were prohibited from entering the temples. Pigs have cannibalism. A cow won't eat another dead cow, and a sheep won't eat another dead sheep, but a pig can. Throughout history, many farmers have witnessed and recounted instances of adult pigs eating their own offspring. In fact, numerous depictions of pigs killing and eating babies were drawn during the Middle Ages. This is because there have been incidents where pigs have eaten or killed humans, especially defenseless babies. With a simple search, you can find and read about similar cases that occurred even just a few years ago. I'd like to give an example. In 1386, in the town of Falaise in France, a pig that chewed on the feet and face of a 3-year-old baby lying in its crib was put on trial. People dressed the pig in human clothes, and later executed it. Certainly, the ancient Egyptians were aware of and knowledgeable about such behaviors in pigs. The ancient Egyptian population, which had consumed pork for a while, gradually began to distance themselves from eating pork later on. This was because the priests began to view pigs as unclean animals and found the consumption and production of pork to be inappropriate. The legend that a black pig was the one who killed Osiris, and the association of the pig in the legend with the evil deity Set, had an influence on this. Of course, there were still those who consumed pork, as habits are not easily abandoned, even if commanded by religious figures. Archaeological studies, especially in settlement areas away from the center of Egypt where workers resided, indicate a higher consumption and cultivation of pigs. Historian Herodotus even recorded on the subject, writing, "Swine are held by the Egyptians to be unclean beasts. In the first place, if an Egyptian touches a hog in passing, he goes to the river and dips himself in it, clothed as he is, and in the second place, swineherds, though native-born Egyptians, are alone of all men forbidden to enter any Egyptian temple, nor will any give a swineherd his daughter in marriage, nor take a wife from their women, but swineherds intermarry among themselves." In the same passage, Herodotus also wrote that the Egyptian people would taste the pork of pigs they sacrificed and cooked for the moon during the full moon, only to abstain from eating pork in the following days. This ritual was performed once a year. Considering that hundreds of thousands of people participated in these rituals and sacrificed pigs, it would be incorrect to infer from the presence of pig bones in the region that pork was a normal meal for the Egyptians, without any prohibition or taboo. In fact, we see all of these aspects in the structures left behind by ancient Egypt as well. While their artifacts depict dozens, even hundreds, of animals, the number of reliefs or frescoes depicting pigs doesn't even amount to the fingers on one hand. Moreover, among the thousands of artworks portraying meals and feasts, there are animals like birds, fish, and cattle as food, but pigs are noticeably absent. I'd like to draw attention to another point. Most of the ancient Egyptian gods and goddesses were depicted as beings with animal heads and human bodies, or as hybrid creatures combining human and animal features. Among them, there are deities like Va with the head of a hunting dog, Anubis with the head of a jackal, Apedemoc with the head of a lion, Apis depicted as a bull, Bastet with the head of a cat or lioness. Also there are Bennu with a bird head, Hatmit with a fish head, Hedidet with a scorpion head, Hirsch with a ram head, and Horus with the head of a falcon. Not a single god with a pig head is present. So, both the Semitic peoples and their neighbors, as well as various cultures that once lived within their territories, had significant deities believed to have been killed by a pig. Especially due to this belief, pigs were considered negative, and refraining from consuming them was practiced. This was because pigs were seen as adversaries of the good gods, of light, and therefore of worshippers of Horus and Osiris. They represented darkness. The taboo surrounding pigs that the Jews acquired from ancient Egypt found its place in Islam as well. In the Quran, we see the prohibition of consuming blood. Drinking blood should have already been forbidden, as Islam is a religion built on Judeo-Christian traditions, and these religions also prohibit the consumption of blood. Some individuals attempt to merge religion and science, creating the impression that religion is also scientific and basing it on scientific justifications in order to make people more receptive to religious teachings. However, the prohibition of drinking blood is related to the beliefs of ancient people. Taboos related to blood have developed in various societies around the world due to the connection between blood and life force. So much so that among many cultures, especially those that hunt animals or humans, it is forbidden to consume the meat of the prey or drink its blood. It was forbidden, especially to the hunter who hunted them. Otherwise, it was believed that one would be cursed or attacked by the spirits of the prey if one consumed its blood. In the eyes of ancient humans, blood was equal to life, and associated with life force. People easily observed that when someone was injured and blood flowed from their body, they would die. This led people to see the blood as sacred. Therefore, forbidding the consumption of blood in the Quran or other books has no connection whatsoever to scientific reasons. Deuteronomy 12:23-25 in the Bible reads as follows.
Only be sure that you do not eat the blood, for the blood is the life, you may not eat the life with the meat. You shall not eat it, you shall pour it on the earth like water. You shall not eat it, that it may go well with you and your children after you, when you do what is right in the sight of the Lord.
In the book of Genesis, the following statement can be found.
But you must not eat meat that has its lifeblood still in it.
So, consuming the blood is prohibited because it is seen as sacred. Blood, which is seen as sacred, can be shed only for the sake of God. According to the understanding of most ancient people, blood is a means of appeasing the gods or purifying oneself from sins. This is true among the Semitic people, among the Jews, for example. Leviticus chapter 17 specifically addresses the prohibition of consuming blood, and in verses 10-12, it states,
If any of the Israelites or any foreigner residing among them eats any blood, I will set my face against them and will cut them off from the people. For the life of a creature is in the blood, and I have given it to you to make atonement for yourselves on the altar, it is the blood that makes atonement for one's life. Therefore, I say to the Israelites, none of you may eat blood, nor may any foreigner residing among you eat blood.